When last we left off, the party was traveling north from Gorald's Rest to Redton, trying to find some thieves who stole some godly artifacts. They've been pushing their team hard and managed to make it a little over a full day's travel the previous day, and that's where we're starting off.
Mules are rested after we pushed them to exhaustion yesterday?
They appear to be just fine, yes.
Excellent.
Well, I think that Nibbs would probably be up early and greeting the morning with some sort of sword form practice sort of thing. Shirt off, sun beating down on his furry chest as he moves through the deft forms of his rapier form. Ladies, eat your heart out.
Fair enough.
Okay. Old Knell, could I get you to give me an insight check, please?
13. I will tear my eyes away from Nibbs's shirtless antics to insight something.
You note that your goblins, while being helpful, seem to be taking turns at helping out with breaking down the camp in the morning. So there's always two of them working, but one of them disappears off somewhere, and you note one of them appears to be slinking away as though trying to be rather stealthy and unnoticed, and heads out into the bush.
I will stealth after him, if I may.
All right, give me a check.
Filthy 20.
Apparently they can't notice if you roll a 20, minus 1 to their perception. So you follow Mega off into the bush. And you note that Nibbs isn't the only one performing kind of martial practice in the morning. You see Tempest a short ways into the woods, practicing with his own weapon. And when Mega comes up to him, you see Mega kind of kneel, and you hear Tempest speaking to Mega in a low voice while continuing to go through weapon forms. If you want to try to listen in, you can give me a perception check.
Could I give you a stealth roll instead to be really, really, really close to them?
You certainly can.
Ooh, not as good. 12.
That's not so good.
As you approach, Tempest falters slightly in one of his forms and looks over at you and nods his head towards you.
Well, I'll nod back and sort of gesture with a go-on hand motion towards Mega.
Mega, upon seeing you, starts just sputtering, and he looks wide-eyed and scared.
Arms crossed, stern look on my face, and directing this to Tempest, I'm going to say, if there's something you're telling to my boys, I get to know about it. What's up?
Oh, Master! Mega, lays down in front of you, just can't even look at you. He says, "Oh, so sorry, boss, but when we was at the fort on the lake, and you left us with God Tempest, we was talking, and he was talking about how goblins used to worship him, and we were very curious about that, because he talked a lot about being brave and being strong, and we goblins, we're not really known for being brave and strong, but he kept talking to us about it, and it made us feel like maybe we could be brave and strong, just like goblins of old times, and so we've been kind of not working as hard as we should, because we want to be strong, we want to be brave, we want to follow Tempest, but not like boss, not like you the boss, you're the boss, but he different.
Mega, cover your ears. The adults are talking. And assuming that he does it, I'm going to fix Tempest with a steely glare and point a finger at him. And he's going to say, "What's your game?"
My game is as I have always said it was, to win the Gods' War. And as someone pointed out recently, I've been rather lacking in finding followers. I've found companions and you and your friends, but nothing so what I would call worship. So I figured it was time to start spreading the word of the faith and build my following and better prepare myself for the upcoming Gods' War.
And you'd figured you'd do it with my boys. Challenge my authority. Steal them from my regard.
Like Mega said, I'm not here to take your place as their boss. I'm here to offer them something in addition.
What are they to you?
They have been willing ears to listen to my sermons so that I might practice what I will say when I come across like-minded people to try to sway them to my cause. I am not as good with words as I am with actions. So the idea of persuading people to my cause is new. When I was a god, it came easy. You show up in a grand vision of a battle and people are inspired. They sing your name to get the powers from a god to strike down their foes in honorable combat. Here I feel underprepared. I feel like other gods will have an advantage, for I am not the strongest. Miliki is stronger than I am, what with her finding her bow, and I need to find other ways to inspire.
Are you aware of how your conditions have changed? You're not the god you once were, Tempest. No longer thundering through the heavens on a mighty courser, brandishing a flaming weapon. Down here, you're just as mortal as I or anyone else. You remember that?
I'm all too aware of that, yes.
Well then, can I trust you with my boys? Are you going to treat them with the respect that they deserve? You going to give them the care that they need?
I certainly plan to, yes. I see value in those who would follow me, and I will do my best to keep them safe. I don't intend for these little ones to follow us into combat and to be my meat shield, if you will. But as I said, more willing followers who may help me spread the word of my coming. Perhaps if we run into other goblins, they will be able to share the faith with them and grow our flock.
Tempest is going to walk up close and is going to put a hand on, old Knell is going to walk up close and put a hand on Tempest's shoulder, and he's going to lean in and just sort of whisper in his ear and say, "I was told to be good and to do good by an angel in the woods. And so I'm going to trust you because that's what good people do with the people that they've chosen to travel and live with. But if I decide that you've taken advantage of my lads, or that you've been unkind to them, or that you've treated their lives as less than your own," and I'm just going to, sleight of hand a little knife from my sleeve into my hand, "you're going to die like all your brothers who never saw it coming, from behind in the dark and scared." And the knife goes away, and I stalk out of the woods.
All right. As you leave, you note that Mega is still laying on the ground with hands over his ears. But you leave, and Tempest continues on with his work. Was there anything that anybody else wanted to discuss with anybody else, whether they be players or NPCs, before you break camp and set out for the day.
He is just mostly trying to keep an eye on both of the gods, making sure none of them are going to kill each other again.
Yeah, Maliki is close to the camp. She's helping out, especially with the mules, getting them set up for the day, checking on them, feeding them, that kind of thing. And you note that she is speaking to them in soft tones, so as not to be overheard. And Tempest disappeared early in the morning into the woods, so you haven't really seen him unless you actively go to see what he's up to.
No, but can I hear what she's trying to tell the mules that she's trying not to have overheard?
You can give me a perception check. Very nice. You hear her talking in soothing tones, trying to offer them what encouragement she can. She knows she's basically saying that she understands that it was a very difficult day yesterday, that they worked so hard and so well, and she's so proud of them, and that she knows they can do it again today. And then once they reach their destination, the mules can have a well-deserved rest and as much food as they want if they're hungry, and it just that sort of encouragement.
That's lovely. Awesome. Thank you.
While she's talking to the mules, Nibbs will kind of pack up her stuff for her, like pack up her, like if she had a tent or something like that, like, you know, kind of like helping.
Yeah, she doesn't have a tent, but she has a bedroll, which appears to be good enough for her purposes. She is an elf, so she doesn't sleep, but she more goes into a meditative state on top of the bedroll. But yeah, if you want to help clean up her stuff, she will smile at you appreciatively when you're done and thank you.
And he kind of chatters on a little bit, you know, nothing like of, you know, any meaning, just friendly morning sort of chatting, asking how people's nights are and stuff like that.
Okay.
But other than that, like, I'm good to travel, so.
All right. So you guys break camp and start your very quick pace once more with the mule team dragging the wagon behind it.
Awesome.
Does anybody have the land vehicles proficiency?
Yep.
Okay, can I get you to roll me a wisdom check for that?
Seems unlikely, but I'll try. 5.
All right. So as you make your way along the day, you're traveling at fast speeds. You note that the ground ahead becomes covered in a light layer of snow as you travel further north. And time to roll a luck check. High is bad.
Of course it is.
Bad it is.
Doesn't get much worse.
And 99 out of 100.
Yeah, that's about right.
So you're making a very fast pace, and unfortunately, given the snowy, slippery conditions, one of the mules falls and twists its leg and starts screaming out in pain.
Anybody know how to heal a mule? Poor mule.
Sorry. Quartermaster, I believe we all have one potion of healing, right?
Can I healing light it?
You can certainly try.
I will use one of my pool of 4d6s. I will use one of them to try to heal the mule.
Okay.
Wah wah.
All right. So you cast some healing power over the mule, but it doesn't reset the wounded joints that look like they're out of place in its leg. It continues to scream.
Is there anyone here skilled at medicine?
That's a good question.
I could try. I'm not real great at it, but I could try.
I don't think you need proficiency to help with something, right?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll use the help action to help Tia with the medicine check on the mule's leg to try and reset it. And then, like, I don't know if this factors into your DM thinking, but I am very willing to use my potion of healing to heal, like administer it to, like, if Tia snaps the leg back into place, I'm going to pour the healing potion down his throat to encourage it to be good enough to move on after.
Okay.
And I would also like the guidance that roll.
Sounds good. And you note that as you're all preparing to do this, Miliki also kneels down and she's speaking in the language of a mule to the mule and like trying to settle it down so it's not kicking you guys while you're trying to work on it.
Ryan, I think I'm going to need to hear that. Do you think you could give us an imitation?
No.
Oh, okay. Hee-haw, hee-haw.
Is it really necessary for you to get into the game?
A little bit, yeah. No, I'm sorry.
All right. So that's a really good medicine check.
I almost roll max on the potion for 9 points of healing.
Yeah, that's really good. So with that medicine check, and with the mule being as cooperative as it can be, you do manage to reset everything successfully and make sure that the tissues inside the injured joints heal up very nicely, and the mule is basically as good as new.
Yay, go mule!
Thank you for saving the mule. That was very scary. He was in a lot of pain.
That was some good teamwork.
I thought maybe you guys might try to kill him because I've seen a lot of two-leggers, the ones with the fur, usually just kill animals of burden when they break a leg.
Well, that's not cool.
Well, I know, that's really not cool. These guys are part of the team. All right. Should we maybe break for lunch and give him some time to kind of settle down?
We can. Admittedly, this fast traveling seems to be risky, so I don't know if we're going to find our quarry before we get to Redton, but we can break for a little bit.
Maybe you should check over your wagon too, because it's taking a beating on those roads.
Well, I'll come clean with you, lad. I don't know the first thing about wagon repair.
All right. Well, I think as long as we keep the wheels on, it's really should be okay.
I mean, I can check the wagon. Is there a roll that I should give or anything?
I guess investigation?
I can help with that.
Haha. A mighty 11.
Yeah, everything looks the same as it usually does.
Well, when he reports that or says, everything looks good or whatever, I'll say, well, okay, well, that's great. I think there's something in the woods. I got it. Uh-oh, game's paused.
Oh, sorry, what did you want to do?
Oh, I was just trying to move the guys. Are we going to keep going or what's going on?
Yep, we take a short break and then we're back on double time driving it.
All right, you guys continue double timing it. And as you crest one of the hills a little later in the day, you see another wagon ahead with riders around it, and they even in the light of day, you see that they emanate light themselves.
Does Tempest recognize them?
No, he does not.
Oh.
Are we close enough to see if there's like a fancy saddle on one of those horses?
You can't really see the horses. They're on the other side of the wagon that they're pulling. You can see the horses that the people alongside are riding, and they all appear to be regular horses.
Okay, so this isn't the group that we're looking for, because there would be one really weird horse, right? Do we
You
know
would
that?
think so. You would think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because you did note that the tracks from one of the horses appeared to be different from regular horses when you left Gorald's Rest.
Right. Okay, well, they haven't noticed us, but sneaking up behind him seems like a bad idea. But, I mean, we're approaching a town, too. Like, can we see this town?
No, the town is still quite a ways away.
Okay. Well, what do you guys think? Maybe we should catch up to these guys and say hi.
If these are our thieves, then yes, we should catch up to them and say hi.
Oh, I didn't think they might be the thieves. Okay, well, yeah, we should definitely say hi. Should I pull out my sword now? And he's got his sword out.
Lad, play it cool. Lean back in your seat. Yeah, that's it. Now cross your arms. Yeah, now cock your head a little bit. Yeah, now you're looking cool.
Am I supposed to do that too? I don't know how to act around thieves.
You know what, Tia? You strike whatever pose strikes your fancy.
Okay, I'll think of one.
While this conversation is going on, Ulnan will casually reach into his pouches and pull out just a container of face paint, lightly stroke across his forehead, and will take the form of another dark elf.
Okay.
Not anybody in specific yet, of course, but
Twins.
Ooh, Mike, do you feel a con coming on? Because I feel a con coming on.
I have no idea what you're talking about. A nod's as good as a blind man.
Everybody in the back and close down the wagon. Hide yourselves.
Tia lies flat on the bottom of the wagon.
I lay flat as well.
Okay, so assuming everybody is hiding themselves, we're going to keep riding as fast as we can to catch up to them fairly quickly. As we get closer, can you describe the group? Do any of them match any of the descriptions that we've had previously? Like, you know, a really handsome man, a blue dragonborn, all of that jazz?
Well, I'm going to need a perception check, and it's the middle of the day, so you're going to be doing that at disadvantage.
I care not for your disadvantage with an 18.
Wow. Okay, I also need to roll a couple of checks here. 1 second. All right. So you continue to ride the mules hard past midday, and you do note that they're starting to tire, but they get you close enough that you can get a better look at the wagon ahead. And you can see that there are some symbols on the wagon. It's quite a nice wagon. And the symbols are those of Charo's Starburst. And the riders alongside the wagon are also wearing tabards with the Starburst symbol on them.
And no sign of the thieves that we're looking for?
Not that you can see, nope.
Suspicious. Okay, Mike, well, my clever scheme is now in tatters as two dark elves roll up on these supposed servants of Charo. Have they spotted us coming up behind them?
Give me a second.
Wow, it's almost like he planned this.
No, the rear guards around the wagon do not see you coming.
Okay, old Knell is going to quickly confer with Ulnan and just say, I was really banking on that being the people that we're chasing, not an entire crew of paladins. I'll suddenly feel much less comfortable about lying to them and trying to...
When you say lying to them, Nibbs bolts upright. Wait, you were going to get us to lie to thieves?
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's not honest.
Can you
No,
think
lad.
of anybody who would? Can you think of anyone who would be better to lie to than thieves?
That's a good point. They don't really have much in the way of scruples, but two wrongs don't make a right. I know that.
But what if it's a right in the service? What if it's a wrong in the service of good?
Well, I think we need to run those by those. We have to really look at those situations as they come up. But these, regardless, these are not thieves, right? Like you said, they're servants of paladins.
They don't look like thieves, at least not like the thieves we was chasing.
He kind of looks over your shoulder at the people that are we're approaching, and they got all the hard shells armor. Yeah, I think we should be nice to these guys. They look serious.
We
Well,
should
let's
figure
see,
something out.
let's see how they react to a couple of dark elf lads and take it from there. I mean, if they're good people, they're not going to have any prejudice in us, right?
Maybe. Maliki, what do you think of these servants of Shiro, you said?
I'm really not a fan of running into them, given that it was Shiro and Doreth who sent me here.
Oh, geez, maybe we should slow down, guys, before they notice us. Do I know anything about the layout of this land? Do I know that there's a town coming up, or?
Well, you guys were told that Redton is to the northwest of Gorald's Rest, and the road went north for a while before turning almost directly west, but you're not sure how much further it would be.
Look, there's got to be a town coming up eventually, right? Like, they're gonna probably spend the night in there, and it'll be an opportunity for us to maybe skip ahead of them. Tempest, what do you think?
If I was stronger, I'd challenge them in battle. The fewer followers of Shiro, the better.
No, those were followers of Shiro that we were dealing with in Nordgard, wasn't it? In the clinic.
That's correct.
Ulnan, your voice changed. Knell, your voice changed.
Sorry.
Sorry, I think my Discord dropped there. Was the question directed at me?
It was followers of Shiro were who we were dealing with in Nordgard in the clinic, correct?
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll see two options ahead of us. Either that's our group of thieves in disguise, or they're legitimate, followers of Shiro. In which case, I'll think that we can put the scheme back on, and depending on how they react, if they decide to try and get nasty, then we're justified in defending ourselves. And why don't we just catch up and see how it all goes? Follow my lead.
I'll do my best.
We'll ride up behind them until they notice us.
Nibbs isn't hiding anymore, by the way, unless somebody tells him to.
Okay. You continue riding at double time. They're going at a regular pace, so they're not super far ahead of you. You can catch up fairly quickly without having to do another exhaustion check for the mules. How are you approaching them?
Where are our goblins?
The goblins would be inside the wagon with you guys as well. It's very cramped.
Okay.
I mean, unless anybody says otherwise, I think we're just riding up openly and, coming up right behind them in a hurry.
Tia will strike a random pose.
Nibbs will wave friendly, like when they look over their shoulders.
Think Vogue for Tia's.
Think Country Mouse for Nibbs.
Okay, you guys get a whole bunch closer, and the rear guards are still completely oblivious to your coming.
Hello!
Okay, you call out, and they do hear you, and they call for their wagon to stop, which it does, and the 4 guards at the corners take up defensive positions around the cart. The 2 at the front are looking around the woods in their area in case this is a distraction for an ambush. And the 2 at the back are also scanning the woods, but mostly looking at you guys as you approach.
Are they appreciating her Vogue?
Give me an insight check. They are not. They don't appear to be interested in it or excited by it in any way. They are very stern and stoic guard types around this wagon, and they're not going to be distracted by your feminine wiles.
Okay, she drops the post then.
I take it I don't get a wave back.
No.
Oh. Well, he doesn't just sit there and wave for like 5 minutes waiting for them to wave back or anything. When he's sure they've seen him, then he'll stop. All right. Excuse me, gentlemen. Coming through. Excuse me.
So these two ride back closer to your wagon, and one of them says, "You've come upon us rather quickly. What's the hurry?"
We have desperate need of a holy man.
"We are holy men. What can we do for you?"
And old Knell is going to take down his mask, revealing his features, and he is going to say, "Me and Ulnan here are dark elves, freshly escaped from the deep dark lands below the earth. We have gotten away from our lives of wickedness and violence, and we have come to the surface for one thing and one thing only. We're here to get married. Can your priest hitch us?"
Give me a deception roll, please.
Can I help with that?
Tia will clap
No.
delightedly.
Jesus, it doesn't matter.
As old Knell says that, I reach over and put one hand on his leg.
Okay, you roll with advantage. It's really not going to matter. You rolled so badly on their insights.
The first roll is a filthy 20, but I'm coming in with a second one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, your deception is good, and even so, one of them looks at you curiously and says, "This is a rather unusual place for a wedding ceremony. Perhaps you'd like us to marry you when we get to Redton."
No. In the Underdark, life is cheap. Y'all, very existence hangs on the razor's edge. Now that we have escaped from the surface and are away from our tragic backstories, we really can't wait. So if you've got a holy man, we want to get hitched here and now.
Give me a persuasion check.
Womp womp.
And I guess I'm not. You can assist if you have the same skill, right?
You can let me know what you want to try to do to assist Ulnan, and I'll let you know if it's good enough to get advantage on the roll.
While he's talking, I am going to lean closer into old Knell. I am going to rest my head on his shoulder, and I am going to mutter about how I wanted a nice wedding.
Okay, yeah, roll again, old Knell.
Ooh, that's much better.
Okay, they the leader says, "Well, I'm sorry we can't give you a nicer ceremony out here on the road. If it's your partner's wish, we could do a nicer ceremony at Redton. They have a proper temple there. But if you need to do it now, we can talk to the priest about doing it now."
I think it's important that we do it now. They haven't been able to take their hands off each other since they've got to the surface that we've been able to see. And if they're not married soon, they might commit a sin.
I'm dying. Oh my god.
Nicely done.
Give me deception at advantage. They're certainly already playing this up. Dirty 20. That'll do it. They're like, "Well, of course. Please come with us. We'll. You can speak to the priest, and perhaps he can perform the ceremony for you now."
I mean, it's not like it has to be long and grandiose. I mean, he can just make it a quickie.
So they stop the wagon and allow you guys to catch up.
As we ride up, I think Nell's going to run into the wagon. Nibbs, anybody else who's sneaky, try and figure out what's going on inside their wagon.
Okay. I'm as everybody's sort of getting out of the vehicle and stuff like that. Is there any way that I might be able to oh yeah, we'll just wait. I'll wait to see how people get distributed.
I'm going to stay relatively hidden in the wagon and cast Detect Magic as a ritual.
Okay, you
once
start.
once we're close to them.
Yeah, you're fairly close now. So you can start the 10-minute process of casting that.
Can do.
Okay, so you guys ride up close. You see one of the knights that was speaking to you rides up to the front of the wagon, and you see him conversing with the priest. And the priest steps down from the wagon and comes back to speak with you. Hello, the knight has told me of your desire to be wed. This is a strange circumstance and certainly not something I was prepared for on the road. You see, we are in somewhat of a hurry to find people traveling down this road. I really don't think I have time to perform a proper wedding ceremony right now.
Well, what's going on, mate? What are you in such a hurry for?
There's a band of thieves and ne'er-do-wells who made their way from Nordgard, headed north. We've been tracking them for some time, and
Oops.
and all signs have pointed to them coming this way. Now their trail has gone cold with the fresh snow, but we're still hoping that they are traveling down this road to Redton.
Seeing that he probably just looked over at me as I'm trying to sneak towards his wagon.
Yeah, he definitely saw you. He's staring right at you.
I say, really? We're after the same people.
Well, isn't that convenient? Tell me, what have you heard of them?
Nasty lot.
Any physical descriptions you'd care to share with me?
I don't think I've actually seen them. I've just heard of them.
And what have you heard?
Nasty lot.
Nice, Shane.
Seeing that Nibbs is floundering maybe just a little bit, I think that we would jump in with what we have been told about them, that they have a blue dragonborn, a very handsome man who may have wild, outrageous claims about being a god, a young human, I think it was an elf was one of the people.
All right. So you give the description, and you note that he seems to relax somewhat, as though he had been preparing for this to go badly, that you were lying. But when you offer the description, he accepts that and says, yes, that does sound like the ones we're following.
Now, you referred to them as thieves. We were told that they had stolen from a city not that far behind us, Gorald's Rest, but you say you've been pursuing them all the way from Nordgard. Did they steal something from you in Nordgard?
We believe that they stole some things from Nordgard, yes. There were a string of burglaries and the disappearance of a town guard. It all appears to be the same people that were described in those incidents. And the last burglary was a break-in at a music shop where they stole only a lute before making their getaway. We had been following them and heard news that they had left Nordgard. When we arrived in Gorald's Rest, we heard more news of them gathering forces with other criminal types, and rumors had it that they had been poking around places they should not have been in. Unfortunately, they have managed to secure themselves horses and have managed to keep ahead of us.
I'm like right up to him in kind of a friendly sort of manner, but sniffing at him like an animal would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of sniffing up and down him and using that opportunity to really kind of get it, like look him over and, not steal anything because that's not his jam, but looking for even any sort of clues or evidence, like of what he might be doing or, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Give me an investigation roll.
Well, I'm really looking.
If you'd rather use perception, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks. What is my investigation? Oh, it's not good.
So as you take a look, you note that he does appear to be wearing the garb of a priest, and you note that he has a rolled up scroll in a case at his belt that bears the starburst symbol of Charot. So if you were to find clues about what his orders are, you would guess it would be in there.
He'll kind of sniff at it, like not like completely in his space, but a little bit in his space at the thing and say, "What's that? That's pretty. Isn't that made out of? Did you make that?"
No, I did not make it.
I really like it. Can I touch it?
No. And he rests a hand on it and kind of
what is it?
Takes a step back. He says, "None of your concern, little one."
Oh, well, can I buy it? I'll trade you.
It's not for sale.
For trade?
No.
Oh.
We are not merchants on the road. We are holy men.
This is nice. This is way better than our cart.
It really is. It's very high class.
And he's like sniffing at it and looking at it and still chattering at the same time. But feel free to talk over him.
Okay. As you're doing that, the priest says, "I'd stay away from the wagon if I were you. There's nothing good in there for you."
He'll take like a big jump backwards, like something scared him. Is something dangerous in there? Is there a dangerous person in there?
There could be, yes.
Oh, okay. Not a nice person?
Not to you.
Oh, but to you?
Yes.
Oh, a nice person to you.
I think while Nibbs is distracting them, old Knell is going to sweep up behind the priest, and I'll try and sleight of hand the pouch that Nibbs drew attention to, and lift it off of him if I may.
All right.
While I see him doing that, I will kind of squeak a little bit, but then start like sniffing the crotch of the guard. Like really sniffing it.
Okay. Old Knell.
Oh.
You sneak up behind the priest and try to lift the scroll case from him, but he notices it's actually secured to his person in a way that was hidden from view. And so as you try to take it, it does not come willingly, and he turns and glowers at you.
I'm going to try to recover with a quick deception by continuing on to Nibbs and saying, "Poor baby, he's getting scared." And I'd like to scoop Nibbs up in my arm to get him away from the guards and acting like I just brushed the priest by mistake.
You can give me a deception at disadvantage.
If there's one thing I can do, it's lie.
Well done.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Okay. The priest kind of brushes it off as you were just walking past and brushed against him, but he resecures the scroll case, and he's watching you as you scoop up Nibbs.
Nibbs will kind of go a little stiff as he gets picked up by Knell. So he definitely looks uncomfortable with it, but doesn't say anything.
This has turned incredibly awkward, and the more I think about it, I do not want to be married on the road. May we follow you at whatever safe distance you think is good, to the next town?
The priest turns to you and nods and says, I think that would be best, yes. I'm feeling uncomfortable exposed on the road as we are.
So old Knell is just sitting there and holding him because this is getting more and more awkward.
Have they been chatting for 10 minutes yet?
Old Knell, I would like you to roll me an athletics check, please.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Nibbs may be small, but Old Knell is really weak, and he's getting real heavy real fast.
And I do have all my stuff too.
Yeah.
I'll put him down in a hurry before he takes me down.
Okay.
And I think I'll say, well, my fiance is correct. If we can't get married here, we'd better press on for now. Thank you for hearing us out, though. Maybe we can work together to...
Before you finish that sentence, he interrupts and as he hits the ground and he says, geez, how many times do I have to tell you? He jumps backwards, right? Like several feet because he can jump like crazy. Just because he's got eyes on the side of his head, he should be able to kind of almost see into the wagon. But he'll say, at Knell, I'm 18 years old now. I'm like an adult. You have to stop treating me like a child.
And I'll carry on with the argument by saying, you're still a baby in elf years, adopted son Nibbs.
And I'm going to roll perception, okay?
Yeah, sure.
And Ryan?
Also going to roll deception, because you probably should get me to do that, right?
Honestly, they're pretty sold on the deception at this point of the dark elves, and you being their adopted child is not that much of a stretch, honestly. As you jump back and take a quick look at the wagon, you note that there are no windows in the wagon. It's solid and closed off, so you can't see inside.
Well, that's lame. Okay, all right. Then I storm by Knell. Sorry, go ahead, Dia.
Has it been 10 minutes? Because there's a lot of debating wedding plans and stealing and stuff.
I'm gonna say no. It's certainly been a while, but not quite 10 minutes yet.
Okay, keep stalling, guys.
Lol. Okay, then I think I will say that I think that we will admit that we should probably move on to town, but I'll engage the priest by saying can you marry us in the town? Can you make it a traditional dark elf wedding with all the spiders? Do we have to bring our own? Do you have a supply of silver for the ceremony spell? And I'll just really as much as I'm saying, yeah, we need to go, I'll keep trying to tie him up for Tia's spell to go off.
Okay. So of course he doesn't have spiders for the ceremony. He's not familiar with the Dark Elf wedding ceremony at all. And he technically does not know the ceremony spell, but he's sure somebody at the temple will know it and will be able to give you the proper magical blessings of the gods. And yeah, you managed to stall long enough for Tia's detect magic spell to go off.
Good job, guys. Do I detect anything that I didn't already know about?
Well, you see there are magical auras around each of them as they radiate light, and that's the type of magic that you're detecting. But otherwise, you don't detect anything extra above that.
And nothing from the wagon.
Nope, it appears just to be a nice wagon.
Cool, thank you.
I'm sulking in the back of the wagon.
Well, after Tia gives us the wave of the all clear, we'll get back in the wagon and keep riding then.
She'll actually do it by, come on now, you guys said that you're supposed to be going. Let them go. Quit bothering them.
Okay. So you guys get back in your wagon, and Priest gets back into his wagon, and you all carry on towards Redton.
As I imagine the trip to Redton is more than an hour, I am going to shift my hood down and get where I am where I am not exposed to the elements anymore as thoroughly as possible, because recasting that every hour would probably, yeah.
Okay, so once we start moving, I assume we can kind of chat without them hearing us, because of the sound of the wagons and all
Yeah,
that
no
stuff?
problem.
Okay. So, like, let's talk about what we learned. Like, obviously, that scroll case is really important to him. And whoever's in that wagon is obviously very important to them. They're followers of Shiro, and that person is very friendly with them. Like, did Shiro fall down as well as one of these, as the other gods?
I don't know. They all radiate light. Nothing in the wagon radiates.
Maliki, like, if this is Shiro in that wagon and it's and they're in a weakened state, do we give this up?
I don't understand why Shiro would be in physical form here. Would Shiro and Delreth add themselves to the Gods' War to try to stop us from ascending? If they won here, then none of us would be able to return? That would be awful.
I don't think any of us are comfortable with jumping them and murdering them. That's not a good thing to do, right?
Right. That's generally bad.
Maybe we could just tie him up to a tree.
I mean, I am perfectly all right with knocking out a bunch of holy men and tying them up as long as everybody is on the same page that we're not killing anybody.
I don't want to kill any of them.
Well, and I'm not really on board with killing them, but we do have to keep in mind that, Shiro and Dara did some really bad things, right? Sorry, let me take a step back there and just say, what is my impression of Shiro and Dara? I don't even know.
I mean, generally speaking, they're the only two gods that have been known through the lens before, for quite a while now, before the Gods' War started. Shiro is generally thought of as being the how to phrase that, is the more good of the two.
The righteous one?
Yeah. The followers tend to have symbols of the light. They are known for healing the sick and acts of charity, whereas the followers of Darath tend to be more solo and working in the darkness. They're generally unseen by civilized folk.
Okay, so now what do you think the forest folk, that would be very closely tied to Maliki? Obviously they're not followers of Maliki, but
no, like you guys wouldn't even remember Maliki at this point.
okay.
But like honestly, your people probably wouldn't have too much to do with either of the gods, Shro or Dorath.
Yeah. Ambivalence. Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't have temples to either of them or anything like that.
Then I think I need to back up what I said, because I don't think he would have suggested jumping them then, because he just wouldn't care about them. Like, so instead, let's just say, so with all that in mind, I don't know that it really has much to do with us. Like, maybe we could just ask if we could pass them.
We are hunting the same target, and presumably if they find them first, we might lose our chance at god items, including Tempest's god item. But I don't know.
Because there may be a situation if we arrive at the same time, we have to fight both teams.
Okay, I'm just tossing it out there. That would be so super cool if we can finagle that.
You want to fight both teams?
A team deathmatch just sounds so epic, but
Gotcha.
A 3-sided team deathmatch. That sounds like it would be hell for the DM. We should do that. We gotta. Okay, we're just gonna follow these guys. So that's it's been decided.
The cart we're on, is it an enclosed space, or is it open that I would be able to talk to people back there, or I would have to go back there to talk to them?
There would be a window through to the wagon portion, so that you'd be able to communicate with each other.
So, the thing that occurs to me is They are looking for people who are looking for gods and or god items. They have a cart that is they are protecting rather extensively, which potentially contains either a god or god items. Is that not a problem or a concern to us?
I didn't detect anything, so I don't think they have god items in there unless they've lined that cart with lead. In which case, that's another concern entirely.
Yeah, that poor horse having to pull a wagon
Does the
full of
horse
lead.
look like he's struggling?
Not particularly.
So probably not items.
Yeah, the spell does go through up to 3 feet of wood, so it's no problem to detect magic in the wagon.
But could
I
be
mean-
holding people, god
Oh.
people.
We have a team of sneaky folk, so I see no reason as to why we can't make another try at least getting a look inside the wagon, either during our travels or later on. Like, do you guys want to make a try for it while we travel with them? Do you want to wait until we get to town?
If we make a try for it while we are traveling and it isn't successful, we are in a fight. And if that's what it is, that's what it is.
And traveling at this pace, we aren't making any progress in catching up.
I just had a thought. If we did, the traveling at this pace thing that's a really good point to you. But what about if we did travel with these guys and they caught up with them? Maybe they would fight and take a round out of each other, and then we could just mop up what was left.
Nibbs, that is a sneaky, no good, down low, dirty way to conduct business. I like where your head's at, lad.
I worry then that they would have all of any god items, so then and we'd be fighting those items. But they would be weakened, so.
That does return us back to the fact that we are behind these guys, and at the pace we are traveling behind these guys, we are not going to make any headway.
And
Let's
they
tell
now
them to
know we're
hurry
looking
up.
for the same people.
Can we ask them to go faster?
I don't know if they'd
No.
let us pass them if we even wanted to.
Old Knell will just yell up to one of the guards riding ahead of us and ask, like, are you following a track? Like, do you know for sure that the thieves were ahead of
Oh no, something's happened to old Knell. I feel for a pulse.
He's dead, Jim.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Oh no. Nope. Can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, now we can.
Sorry about that. If Old Knell yells up to one of the guards riding ahead of us and just asks flat out, like, are you following the trail on these thieves? Do you know that they're ahead of us? What do they say?
They say they lost the trail about a day back when the snow fell, but they're confident that Charo is guiding them in the right direction, and that these thieves will be apprehended in Redton, as there are no civilized centers beyond that town.
We'll thank them and go back to the discussion amongst ourselves. Are you guys satisfied with that?
The other thing I just thought of is if we catch up to him in town, we might have to fight the town guard as well.
Yeah, I'd rather. I don't know what to do.
If we catch up to them in town, there are ways around it other than fighting.
Oh, I like that idea. Okay, but it's a little thin yet.
So we're following for now?
I think so. Even if we don't like these guys, I don't think any of us are the type to start a fight. And I think we're just waiting to see how it plays out, unless anybody wants to take more direct action, trying to get into the wagon on the way or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd risk it during the day. They'd see it too easily. And even at night they'd see it. So I think that we need a more indirect opportunity. And that is not right now. I think we're just driving until we get to the town.
All right. If that is the group's decision, you continue riding behind the wagon for the followers of Charo. And night falls before you get to Redton, and they stop their wagon and start to set up camp. And at that point, 2 more paladins come out of the wagon and start to help set up camp.
Okay, Tia's going to watch to see if they take any food, for example, into the wagon or anything along those lines.
They do set up a campfire to cook some food, and some of them do go. A couple of them do go back into the wagon to eat in peace, along with the priest.
And how many bowls of food do they take?
Give me a perception check.
I will also be looking, so I'll be helping with that. Ooh.
They appear to each be taking one serving.
And no extras for anybody in the wagon?
No.
Okay, thanks.
So they don't. Like, are we setting up camp now?
I think we should.
Okay.
Or we can head on around them if we decide we don't want to travel with them.
I mean, if you guys want a wagon, we can make it happen as we set up camp.
You cut out there, Jesse. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry to cut out. I said that if you guys want to look in the wagon, we can make it happen while we set up camp.
How?
You leave that to me. Do you want to look in the wagon or not?
Presumably there might be god items in there. No,
Well,
there's not god items.
Not
in
god items, and they
None.
didn't take any extra food.
there. Yeah. So what would be in there?
I don't know. Maybe just a fancy place to live.
Yeah, but the paladins were riding in there, so they must be guarding something in there. Otherwise, the priest would have been in there. Because a priest outranks a paladin, doesn't it? I don't know.
And if they have a prisoner, maybe they're not feeding him, or she, or
Oh, that
them.
would be bad.
Maybe it's not a prisoner, but a thing. Not a magical thing. Maybe it's a bunch of gold or something.
Moral of the story: Do you guys want a distraction to get into the wagon?
Tia can't go sneaking into a wagon because Tia can't sneak.
I think Nibbs would side on not, and seeing how the plan works out with them, and not trying to push, because if we get discovered, then there goes the plan.
Well,
But
I mean,
he won't raise a stink if everybody else decides to do something. So
but it sounds like you two guys who are looking to get into the wagon are saying no to a distraction. So we'll just set up camp then.
Tia just has no ability to actually sneak.
all right, so we're setting up watches, obviously, right?
Yep. The watch order that I had from last time. Oh no, that's not the right one. Because you guys changed it.
Yeah, we broke up the gods because
Yes.
bad when they sit and talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. This one with Ulnan and Deacon, Akai and Knell, Nibbs and Maliki, and Tia and Tempest. Is
Yep.
that still the order you want to use?
Yep.
Okay.
Nibbs would probably be a pretty easy convert for her too, by the way.
Sorry? For Maliki?
Yeah. He already kind of likes her, so.
Yeah, she would speak to you in those terms, trying to see if you would become a follower of hers, because she is also fond of Nibbs. But before we get to that, Ulnan and Deacon are on watch when a couple of the paladins who are also on watch for their group come over and sit down with you guys and say, we heard that you're following these fugitives as well. How long have you been after them?
Since they left North. Since Gorald's rest.
Oh, yeah. What did you hear that they did in that town?
Ulnan sits for a moment. We had heard that they had had an encounter with a band of orcs.
Okay. Can you give me a deception check?
I'm going to use my advantage, or my inspiration.
Okay. They can't beat that, so I'm not even going to bother trying to roll. Okay. One of them says, "Oh, we didn't hear anything about orcs. What was going on there?"
I'm not entirely sure. The people, how we found out about it, were fairly tight-lipped and didn't say much. What is it exactly that you're following them for?
Oh, well, we generally try to help the town guard when we can, and they were rather concerned about the robberies that had been happening on the east side of town and asked us to look into it. And we've since heard of more misdeeds of theirs as we've been traveling, so we hope to recover the stolen goods and return them to Gorald's Rest and Nordgard. If we can bring them back to face trial, all the better.
I have a question for you, mechanics-wise.
Okay.
The spell Suggestion.
Yeah.
Everything I have looked at, it says the verbal component is the suggestion itself.
Yeah.
So casting Suggestion is not obvious?
That's correct. Yeah, those type of like charming spells are a little different from other ones because it wouldn't make sense to have them like be super obvious, because you'd think that would make like the saving throw at advantage or something.
And the next question I have is, I don't see anything referencing in it that it works like a lot of the other charms where when it's done, they know it was you and they're mad at you.
Right.
So while we are talking, I'm going to look at one of these two guards. And I'm going to say, why don't you tell me what exactly is in your wagon?
All right. So you're going to cast that spell so I can see the details in chat? Ooh, he passes. So he doesn't fall for the suggestion, but you can give me a persuasion roll. No, he can't insight better than that. So even though the spell doesn't take hold, he kind of looks at his partner and says, it's really not a big secret. You probably already figured it out. We just keep a couple of extra guards in the wagon fresh in case there's any trouble on the road. We don't expect anybody to attack us when there's 4 knights on horseback guarding the wagon, but you just never know. Sometimes there's larger groups, and it's just better to be prepared for that.
And sometimes there's people that are just stupid, right?
Well, sometimes people need a little dissuading through force of arms, yes.
One of the people I'm with, I'm sure, would want me to know, are you guys looking after your horse well?
They shrug and say, yes, we take care of all of our horses.
So when you get to the next town, how do you hope to find these people? Like, following their trail, I imagine, goes beyond just the hoof tracks and the leavings they have as they pass.
Yes, we will interview locals and find out who's relatively new in town, especially if they've caused any trouble, and track them down to wherever they've been staying. Redton is not a large town, so there's not many places for them to stay overnight. It should be relatively simple work to weed out troublemaking strangers.
I'm just glad you aren't chasing us for anything.
Not yet, anyway. I don't suppose you've been up to any trouble.
Just the trouble of two looking forward to getting married.
Yeah, that's trouble, all right. I've been married for a few years now, and, it's all right most of the time. But there's certainly challenges. I imagine it won't be any different for you two.
So I guess a question for you. If when you're looking for them, if you find them and they prove to be troublesome, would you accept the offer of help?
This mission was given to us by Shiro. I imagine we'll be able to deal with it with the numbers that we've brought. Why would Shiro send us on a mission that we were unprepared for?
I suspect Hero from time to time sends you on challenging missions, and sometimes challenging missions have surprises.
Indeed, but the church has stood strong for centuries. I have no doubt that we are up to the task.
If you change your mind, we, on the way there, won't be too far behind you, and like you said, it's a small place. People should be easy to find.
He nods. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to them about?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, they leave you to it for the night and head back to their own camp, sit and chat quietly amongst themselves.
I forget who the second watch is.
Kai and Knell.
So when we wake them, I will very quickly brief them on the conversation and the how the paladins joined us, and talking to them. They basically told us the only thing in the cart was the 2 extra guards, or was 2 extra guards, and how I made an offer if they need help once we get to the town, they know where to find us, because I figure that gives us a chance of being close to wherever they and the others are fighting. So potentially we can clean up the scraps or what have you.
Sounds like you handled it perfectly. Good job, Snookums.
Why, thank you, dear.
All right. Well, I don't know that I have anything specific that I want to talk to her about. He will be receptive to hear about maybe her history and stuff like that. I know you've kind of gone through it before a couple times, so you don't have to go through it again. But he'll kind of like listen to some of the things and be receptive anyway.
Can you give me an insight check, please?
Sure.
Actually, first, before we get to your portion of the rest, I really should ask Old Knell if there was anything he wanted to do on his watch.
Nope. Akai and I will just smolder at each other as we normally do, glaring across the fire because we don't trust one another.
Okay. So
she should be home soon, so.
Okay. Nibbs, while she's talking, you note that she seems distracted. Like she's not really telling you a whole lot new with what she's saying, but you see her often casting glances at the guards for the other wagon, and she appears to be fidgeting with her bow.
He'll, have been like chattering on with her and stuff like that, and talking, but then he'll just kind of stop. His ears will kind of prick up and look at her and kind of cock one eye at her. What are you thinking?
I am very uneasy, so close to the followers of Shiro. I don't know what their intentions are in this God's War, and it makes me nervous. I don't like having them as traveling companions. I'm concerned if they learn about either myself or Tempest, things could go badly very quickly, and we could be caught flat-footed.
And it's forest around us, right?
To the north, there's some light woodlands. There's a few trees to the south, but it's mostly rolling hills.
Yeah, I see your point. It's very concerning. Part of me wonders if it's not almost a genius place to hide. But, I mean, that's all well and good until something goes awry. And I guess we should pass on to the other watches. Maybe we should come up with some code names for you guys. Because if one person refers to you as by your name, that might be all that's required.
Yes, that would be a concern. I have a request of you, Nibbs.
He'll have been kind of like lounging on maybe his rolled up bedroll or whatever, and he'll just like perk up and his ears will come forward and he'll be like, yeah?
I want to travel into the woods, but I'm concerned the others might not give me the time that I need. Would you be okay with handling this watch on your own while I go and look for help?
I don't understand. Is there somebody out there?
Well, that's what I'd like to know.
Are you, like, sensing somebody out there? Seeing somebody out there?
No, nothing like that. It's that I would like to perhaps find a companion to aid me as I need.
Oh, well, I can help you. What do you need?
What I need is an animal companion. And unfortunately, while you do have some rather adorable animalistic looks, you're not quite exactly what I'm looking for.
His ears will kind of go back and, like, he'll be like, oh, druid stuff, right?
Ranger stuff.
Oh, ranger stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah, just don't get caught by those guys, I think. That would be bad. And they don't need to know what we're doing.
No, and we're far enough away that it shouldn't be a problem for me to head out on my own for a while.
But before you go, though, you should pick another name.
What do you think?
He'll kind of look her up and down. Here, I gotta look at his picture again. Oh, I don't know. How about Serafina?
I rather like the sounds of that. A very good name.
And we could just call you Sarah for short.
Certainly.
Okay, I'll tell the rest of the group. But, oh yeah, I was going to say we should come up with a name for Tempest, but maybe he might want to say in that.
Mr.
Okay.
T.
I pity the fool.
Yeah. All right, so he lets her go off.
Okay.
He does his watch. He very stoically, like, looks around and tries to keep his eyes away from the fire if we have one, to not lose his night vision, that sort of thing. Maybe even just kind of sitting a little ways out, like, so that he can kind of see in the dark a little bit, and see people approaching, but it's still like 2 steps away from the group, so well within his movement. And I see something here that makes me think I have to roll perception.
You can, yeah.
You can certainly try. Oh, and I try.
Yep. So close to the end of your watch, Maliki makes her way back through the woods, and you see that she has found an animal companion that is traveling with her in the guise of a wolf.
He'll when he sees the wolf, he'll be like, you know they eat people like me, right?
Oh, don't worry. He won't eat you.
Yeah, sure. What's his name?
Frostpaw.
Oh, yeah. On account of his frosty-looking paws with the big claws.
And he licks his lips as he looks at you.
Okay, let's wake up the next group.
She kind of chuckles at that, and you guys wake up Tia and Tempest.
Tia, the wolf is gonna eat me.
Wolf?
That wolf.
Tia's eyes get really, really large. She will now spend part of her watch watching the wolf, unfortunately.
I will pass on all the information that was passed on to me, plus all the information I gathered. I will leave out how the wolf has come by the area.
She's got a lot of questions about the wolf. Like, how do we know it won't eat us? And varying things along that nature. So Maliki might need to say that it's with her.
Yep. and and you have to talk to Serafina, and he'll point at Maliki. Get it? We can't use her name.
Yeah, that's a probably really good idea.
Yeah. And who's with you? Sorry, who's the other person?
Tempest.
Tempest.
What does
You
he
have
want to go by?
You have to come up with a name so we don't accidentally call you the wrong name.
I don't like the sounds of that. Sounds deceptive and cowardly. I'd prefer to bring on a fair fight.
Do you think you'd win a fair fight right now with these guys?
He frowns and shakes his head.
Yeah, that's what we think too. So we're just delaying things. We're gonna see what's gonna go on here, and see if there's a best point where we can inject ourselves in to succeed with our goals.
Very well. And he looks at Tia and says, well, what do you think? What should my nickname be?
Well, you're a god, so it should be respectful. How about Mr. T?
Wouldn't people just ask what the T stood for?
He'd be all mysterious. It'd be cool.
And it's not as deceptive.
True.
I like it.
How about you could just say, when they say, what's the T, you could say, Tiberius.
I am not a skilled liar.
Well, do you have a name in my people's language?
Tempest.
Well, no, in my language.
He would have said that in your language.
Oh, damn it. Right. I was going to give him a Jarbine name. That is Tiberius.
If you wanted to give me a true nickname, one that people may not know, I've also gone by the name Foehammer.
Yeah, but that isn't really
Subtle?
subtle. That's it, subtle. Yeah.
There is little about me that is.
I mean, we could fix up some of that hair a little bit, put it under a hat or something.
I see no need for such things.
Okay, well, have a good watch. I think we're gonna go to bed here. So
Very well. Sleep well.
you too, Tiberius.
That is not my name.
Okay. Sleep tight, Mr. T.
It's my watch. I won't be sleeping.
Oh, right.
Come, let us watch.
Okay. So you guys have your watch. Is there anything you want to talk to Tempest about?
I'd just like to know, I know that he's trying to stay alive. Does he have any other plans?
Give me a persuasion roll.
I apparently like talking to the gods.
Holy cow. All right. He looks at you. At first he appears guarded, but he nods finally and says, I've come to trust you, Tia. My plans are straightforward, I would say. Whenever we find a god we don't like, we kill it. Specifically, it should be, well, me who lands the killing blow.
How come?
The one who kills a god gains power from the god. Thus, Maliki already has power from her bow. I need to be able to even the playing field. So if we find a god, I would very much like to kill it, so that I can perhaps not challenge Maliki. That's not the correct phrasing, but at least earn her respect, so that she
Not
won't
feel at a disadvantage.
Exactly. Whereas if she kills another god and gains power, I will look even weaker in her eyes. And I know and appreciate that you persuaded us to work together. But I worry if the power differential becomes too large, the truce may not hold. She may see me as just another god to give her more power above and beyond the others.
I can see why you didn't share this knowledge generally, because that paints a target on each and every one of you.
Yes. This is why it is difficult to maintain an alliance. If the partnership is not equal and has no way of being equal, then it causes me to be a liability. As I have not gained any power since coming to this world, I, unfortunately, am an easy target. And if we run up against another group of gods, and they kill me, my power will go to them, and make them potentially stronger than Maliki. And if that should happen, then the scales tip. If I can get my saddle, it will greatly increase the power of our alliance, and then we will both be more useful to each other. If I remain as I am, well, it may be more useful for her to have my power.
Well, we'll protect you and get your saddle back, because I think we all really just want... I know that there eventually has to be an end to the truce, but I am hoping that we can tackle the evil gods. That seems to benefit everybody.
Yes, especially since we have learned that the powers of the gods diminish after our deaths. If we can keep the world in some form of good shape, as long as we can, all the better. I do worry about what will happen as more and more gods fall and their powers dissipate across many domains.
Yeah, like, will the world actually break?
I don't think so. The world, as it is, was created by titans, not gods. So your world should be safe.
But it could fundamentally change what it is.
I believe it already has, yes.
Oh, we will keep you totally safe.
I would definitely appreciate that, but when it comes down to it, I wonder if I'm the best god to survive in terms of the health of your world. It could be that someone like Maliki is better suited to be the last, as then at least your woodlands and woodland creatures would flourish and thrive. What survives if I'm the last? Bravery in the hearts of people?
That
War?
seems rather important.
I suppose we must weigh what is most important.
Oh, I don't like this at all.
Neither do I.
She doesn't have a lot useful to add to that, unfortunately.
Hopefully in the next day or two, we will get to Redton and find those who absconded with my saddle, and our alliance will be strengthened. And if we can deal with the thieves, and one of them happens to be a god as well, all the better.
That one question, if you do kill another god, say we find a bad god and you kill them, and you absorb their power, what does that mean for the world?
I'm not sure. I simply know that I will be stronger and in a better position to win the war.
Strikes me as there could be a couple of reasons for it to be very, very important for a good god to win.
I may be biased, but I agree.
Okay, we're going to go get your saddle, get some bad gods. We're going to do it all.
I do have a question for you.
Yes?
Given that it appears that Saloon has fallen, and you have one of her artifacts, the bag of moon dust, have you noticed any change in it?
I'll double check it. Have I?
You haven't.
I will say I have not. I know that we discovered it made me actually want to eat instead of other people who didn't care about eating anymore. So that was nice.
Yes, and given that I have no godly artifacts and I still maintain my appetites, I believe that being a god also protects me from the negative effects of other gods perishing. So I do wonder about the strength of these artifacts if they give you the same protection from those negative effects as being divine.
Ooh. So then all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of people like me wandering around who kind of act like you a little bit.
Indeed. While I haven't got the sense that any of you have gained tremendous power from wielding the artifacts, I do wonder if there could be more.
I don't know. Like, so far, it does seem to, I don't know, help me think of things a little bit better when I'm thinking about magic. Oh, whoops, maybe that's not that one. Hold on a sec.
I think it is.
It is. Good. Yeah, so it seems to help a little bit when I'm thinking about magic, but that's all I've really noticed.
Perhaps during our rest period you can, I don't know, delve into it more. See if you can learn more about its powers or your own.
I'll explore it and see what I can find out.
Very good.
Is there anything in particular you think I should be checking for, or just really explore it well?
I don't know. It may be that the benefits that you get from it now are the only benefits that are to be gained from it. There were precious few details given to us about what would happen when mortals had our items. And I mean, we didn't even know what would happen when the gods died. So I feel there are still a great many unknowns to investigate.
Would having a god item make you better, or does it have to be one of your god items?
Well, seeing Maliki with Tyr's hammer and her own longbow, she does not appear to have gained extra power by holding Tyr's artifact, so I believe I need my own.
Because if you think it would help, I have this ring and the moon dust.
Well, if you wouldn't mind parting with one and allowing me to hold it for a moment, I could see if anything happened.
I will hand him the ring with... I'll ask him which he'd prefer, actually. I have Merkel's ring and Saloon's moon dust.
He'd take Merkel's ring.
Okay, I hand him the ring.
Okay, he puts it on and waits for a moment, and shakes his head and takes it off and hands it back, and says, I felt nothing. Given how Maliki was described as obtaining power from her bow as soon as she was handed the weapon, I believe the effects would have been instantaneous.
I'm sorry. I was hoping that would help.
Me too, but I imagine that would have been too easy in the eyes of Shro and Doreth, for if that was the case, I would be better off having all of the artifacts that we found and not sharing them with mortal followers. This way, it helps all of you and protects you from the negative effects of the Gods' War. So it is probably for the best that I do not gain powers from other gods' items.
Well, I want us to get your saddle, and then it sounds like you'll know where to go next.
Indeed. It could be that mine and Maliki's Alliance will continue if our items are in similar locations. May behoove us to continue working together. Time will tell.
If you guys can maintain your alliance, you're stronger together.
I agree. If we each have one of our artifacts, I believe the Alliance will have a much easier time of holding.
Well, then let's get through this night and go get it.
Very well. And if you have nothing further to discuss, what would you like to do in terms of investigating that bag of moon dust?
Can she do it while traveling in the cart tomorrow? Or would she not be able to? I don't want to take her time off of watch because she's supposed to be watching for bad things happening, not spending all of her focus on a bag of moon dust.
Sure, yeah, you'd be able to poke around with it the next day.
Cool. She will do it as soon as she's able to in the morning. But yeah, as I said, she wants to actively watch on her watch.
All right. You actively watch on your watch, and the night passes uneventfully.
Yay!
So the next morning, you guys all wake up and can break camp and discuss anything that you want to discuss of the night's events.
She will take Tempest aside and ask if she's allowed to share that knowledge with the rest of the party, or if he would prefer she didn't.
He would... I'm going to do a roll here. 1 second. He would be okay with you sharing it with Deacon or Akai or Nibbs, because they all seem like trustworthy sorts. He's not so sure about that old Knell and Ulnan. They're kind of sneaky sorts and stick to the shadows and disguises and things like that. So if you wanted to discuss it in private with any of them, with any of the three that he mentioned, he would be okay with that.
Okay, I'm going to have to think about that because generally so far she's been like, she doesn't really know any of them, so the whole party are none. So she's going to puzzle that out for a little bit.
No problem.
But she doesn't argue with him about his choices either. Like, that's his business.
Okay. But everyone will notice that you have added a wolf to the party overnight.
Yeah, I'd like more details about the wolf. Like, where did it come from and why is it following us? Is it trying to eat us?
At that, Miliki would laugh, and she would introduce Frostpaw to the group as a wolf that she found in the northern woods overnight. Because of the way you guys have been traveling, there hasn't been a lot of larger animals in the area. You guys make a lot of noise, so wild animals tend to shy away from that sort of thing. So she felt it would be best to go on her own and stealth through the woods and see what she could find. And she came upon Frostpaw and befriended him, and he is now happy to follow the group. At this point, I need to roll check for Deacon, who's not here. Oh, he finally rolled a good perception check. Well, someone's going to pass an insight check, and he's probably not going to be too quiet about this either. He has some difficulties with his helmet.
And whose helmet is he wearing at the moment?
Murgafy's.
What sort of difficulties is he having?
You take a look and note that he has begun to sprout horns through two of the holes in the side of the helmet.
Does he notice it?
He did, and that's why you guys are noticing it. He is in a bit of a panic as he notices these new growths.
Can I do, like, do we know that that's what the dude whose helmet had?
Pardon me?
Are the horns a natural appearance of the owner of the helm?
They appear to be natural to Deacon, yes.
Right, but Murgafy, Does
Well-
Murphy have horns?
Oh, they would. Tempest and Maliki would confirm that Murgafee often takes the form of beasts and minotaurs.
Okay, I try and help him wrench this thing off of his head.
Oh yeah. How
She's
much?
got no strength.
Okay. I was gonna say how much effort
She
are you
helps,
putting into
and
this?
she puts all of her effort into it, and it does next to nothing.
Yeah, it's not coming off.
She gasps and grabs Tempest away and pulls him to the side. We were talking last night, and you wondered if other things could happen. Could this be one of the things that is happening?
Could be. I'm not sure.
She snatches off one of the rings.
Like the one that is Merkel's?
Yeah, that's a bad one, right?
Yeah, he's like a god of decay and exhaustion.
Yeah, she snatches that ring off right now.
All right.
Guys, there may be a problem.
My rapier comes out.
What if the items are turning you into the god of the items you're wearing?
Well, what is Murgafee a god of, other than minotaurs?
Beasts in general. Also, sometimes associated with storms and lightning, but mostly beasts.
Deacon, other than your handsome new updo, are you feeling beastly, inclined to storms?
He does not feel any different internally. Aside from the horns, he feels normal.
Well, we already knew that god items had a chance to affect you, impact you, but changing your physical appearance, that's certainly new. If it's not changing Deacon into a different person, I would suggest that no, we're probably not becoming the god that we've taken the items from.
I sure hope you're right. How's Deacon doing? Is he calming down?
I don't want to say how he would react to that, but I will say that at some point he's going to get used to the fact that he has horns now, unless he, as the player, decides otherwise and wants to cut them off or something at some point. I'll leave that decision to him when he's actually around. I'll send him a message on Discord, and we can discuss this as an event that is happening to him and see how
Boy,
he
is he going to be
wants to deal with it.
surprised.
Yeah.
Well, that's shocking, but I don't think we can do anything about it right now. Does anybody have any strong feelings about how we proceed from here? I'm honestly kind of inclined to try and get ahead of these holy men to see if we can maybe find our quarry before they do.
I like that idea.
Me too.
Okay, I think we're going to nip ahead of the clerics of Shiro as they break camp. We're going to try and break camp faster and take off in front of them and get around them. Declaring loudly, "We will be married rapidly," as we go past them or whatever it is.
All right. Yeah, they don't appear to be in any great rush in the morning, so it's no problem for you guys to break camp and get ahead of them and head on down the road.
And we're moving fast, right?
You certainly can.
I think we would like to.
Okay. The mules have recovered from their exhaustion the previous day and continue on with your travels.
I hope Riverton's a big town or like a city, like a metropolis. Like I've heard there's some cities that are so big that they don't even call them cities anymore. They call them metropolises. I hope this is a metropolis. I've never seen a metropolis.
Could be interesting. I didn't get the impression it was that big, though.
Well, big is a matter of perspective, you know. When I lived before I left my home village, it was, I thought it was big. And then I went to this little village and I thought it was big, but they just got bigger from there.
Well, I'm looking forward to finding out.
Is there anything that anybody would like to do on the road while you're traveling to Redton?
One small thing, if I may. If asked of Malikali, and just, something offhand, like just saying like, "Hey, Malikali, do you have nature magics? Can you make plants or something? Because you're a nature goddess."
Give me a persuasion roll.
Go into my character sheet, but D&D Beyond is loading. Taking it sweet time, so I'm singing a little song. Persuasion is the role you asked for. I'm struggling to find it. Okay, I rolled it, but the internet is gonna take its time. A 9 is not the best result, but it's not the worst either.
She rolled an 8. Okay. So you ask her if she has any magic, and she would confirm that now that she has her longbow, it has made her powerful enough to have some ranger spells, and she has prepared spells that allow her to interact favorably with animals.
Does she know the cantrip druidcraft is basically what I'm looking for?
No, she is not a druid.
Okay. Looking in my inventory, do you think that it would be in any way reasonable for thieves' tools to have like a incredibly thin, like pick, like almost like a stiletto needle type setup, something really, really small?
Yeah, the thieves' tools are generally pretty small.
Okay, then I'm going to ask the goblins for a volunteer, and I'm going to warn that it's going to sting a little bit, but whoever volunteers gets an extra gold piece today.
Mega immediately jumps up to volunteer to help.
Okay, going into Lyra's disguise kit, I'm assuming that there's something to change hair color, like ink or a dye of some kind. Is that a fair assessment?
Yep.
I'm going to take that like little thin letter pick, cover the end of it in some of Lyra's like this ink, and I am going to give Mega a quick stick and poke tattoo in the hopes that it acts like when we put wigs on the mules, that it sort of like imbues him with the deity's power and the protection from whatever is happening in the gods' world, like whether that's not feeling hunger or what have you. Like I want to see if it acts like, if I can give him like a little tattoo, if that acts as like inoculating him against the effects of the dead deities.
Okay. What kind of tattoo are you giving him?
A smiley face, 2 dots and a little line.
Okay. And you're doing this on the road?
Yeah, somebody else is going to have to take over driving.
Okay. So it's I guess give me a what kind of check would that be? I don't want to say performance. Let's make it a dexterity saving throw, since you're jostling around in the back of the wagon.
17.
All right. Yeah, you do a pretty good job of staying steady despite the circumstances. And as you create this tattoo, Mega kind of whimpers. And when the tattoo is complete, he looks at you with wide eyes and says, "Boss, you got any treats, snacks, food?"
He can pig out on rations, and I'm going to turn to the party and say, mates, I think we can inoculate people against the effects of the God War. We might be able to save towns if I'm sparing with the tattoo ink.
That's amazing.
Cool, good idea. Maybe the town, if it's big enough, like a metropolis, it'll have tattoo needles you can get.
I mean, worst case scenario, if I can find something really sharp and pokey like a rose with a sharp thorn, I can make do.
Could I also try and experiment with one of your boys? It won't hurt the way yours did.
Yeah, sure. Who wants to help win out? Whoever volunteers gets another gold piece.
Gorald jumps up.
I'll sprinkle some dust on him, on his arm.
Okay. The dust is sprinkled on his arm and falls off, and he looks at it, and he looks up at you, hopefully, but beyond that, he doesn't appear to be changed in any way.
What if I sprinkle it all over him?
He kind of giggles at the dusting, gives a little sneeze, but beyond that is unchanged.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, can I ask that you take 2 gold pieces off of our inventory as our little bribes for the goblins?
She'll taste some.
It surprisingly has no taste whatsoever. It just kind of, when you put it in your mouth, it just fades away and disappears.
What if she puts it on a weapon or tosses it at something off the edge of the cart?
You don't see any particular effects of that.
What if one of the goblins eats it? Because they don't have any magic items, right?
That's true. Would they like to try some?
Yeah. Gorkle will take a mouthful, but doesn't appear to be any different to him than it was to you.
She will continue playing with it during the course of the day. She'll mix some of it with water.
Okay.
See if anything happens.
It disappears in the water as well.
She'll keep making people Gorkle drink things and taste things and try things.
Okay. Yeah, Gorkle patiently helps with everything. He's quite happy with his gold piece, but all of that kind of stuff that you try has no effect on him.
Anybody else have ideas of what this dust might do? She'll sprinkle it on a book, see if it does anything to her books.
No
And she'll
effect.
try and write with it.
Well, maybe because it's a thing of saloon, it only works in the moonlight. Oh,
Maybe
wait a minute.
We'll check at night.
There's no moon anymore.
That's a bit of a problem. That is definitely a problem. Can I build the moon again with this? What if she balls it up and continues taking it out and balling it up? Can she build a moon, Ryan?
You take out a handful of moon dust and kind of try to crunch it up into a ball, but it's not sticking together. It just continues to remains as a powder.
What if we used a ball of lard and then rolled it in it, and then it would be like moon dust on the outside of the ball of lard?
Do you guys have a ball of lard to try that with?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
No.
Does anybody have a mess kit or like a cooking tools in their inventory?
Nope, I'm checking.
I got a biscuit.
What is it described as? You click into the inventory, like, is it
contains a
just
cup.
like a fork and
Contains a cup, a simple cutlery, the box clamps together on one side to use as a cooking pan, while the other is a plate and a shallow bowl.
I asked both Tempest and Maliki if they knew what Saloon did with her dust.
The stories talk of her sprinkling the moon with dust every night so that it would glow and illuminate the world below.
Okay, so when it gets dark, we'll sprinkle it on something and see if it glows.
During the half-day travel?
If I think of anything, can I add it at that point? Because I'm all out of ideas right now.
It's okay if you're out of ideas, but I don't want to retcon back to the travel time. If you do figure out something to do with it that works.
That's fair. As I come up, it will happen at the time I think of it.
Okay.
So if that happens to be the next day, but if I think of it partway through and we're still in, can I message you and say, hey, I thought of something?
Yep.
Awesome. And if anybody else has any ideas on what I should try, please speak up.
mix it with water to make a paste, and we give more tattoos to people.
Well, I was kind of trying to do that, but
Yeah, it didn't really mix well. Well, it mixed very well with the water to the point that it disappeared. So it's not like an ink is being created from it.
Maybe if you make it into a ball and then throw it up into the air, see if it sticks to the sky.
We already tried making a ball out of it.
But I like the
You
idea.
couldn't make
so.
a ball out of it. It didn't adhere. It didn't stick to each other. Yeah. Hence my lard ball. Whatever it is, I think it won't work until it's nighttime.
Well, I'll keep thinking.
Okay.
And she will spend the entire time examining it and trying things.
Sounds good. And you guys continue traveling to Redton. Anything else that you guys want to discuss along the way?
Sounds like a no.
All right. You guys continue traveling at a fast pace. for about half the day, and you see town over the hills as you rise up to the last hill before town, and you see that it is down in a depression in the ground, a valley between hills, and there's a bunch of buildings all tightly nestled together with a very wide main street heading into town, a couple of towers north and south of the entrance to town, and before you, you see an inn north of the road, as well as a bunch of houses to either side.
And what time of day is this?
You arrive at town at midday. There's fresh snow falling gently on the town, and you see people bustling about, carrying on with daily activities.
Right. Does anybody know anything about this town?
This place is huge. This has to be a metropolis, right? Like, this is the biggest town in the world, right?
I don't think it is.
But you can barely see the other side.
Little mate, the first town that we set out from, Nordgard, is so big that you can't even see the end of it. You gotta travel for hours to get from one end to the other.
Oh, I've heard of Nordgard, but I've never been there.
Well, here's
But
what
wow, that sounds large.
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking. I'll think if we all go in different directions and start asking around town, we can try and find these people. We can ask some questions, see if we can find them, and just go about different errands and just see if we can, find anything of interest. So, who wants to split up with what team member?
I'll go
why
with
don't
Tempest.
why don't we just go with our watches? Oh yeah, Tempest. Okay, that works too.
He is also my watch buddy, so.
Yeah, if you want to go with your watch buddy, that's fine. But quite frankly, I'd rather take Ulnan in the wagon if everybody's okay with that.
That's fine
Yeah.
with me.
That should leave 2 people without a buddy.
Try to get married and all.
Well, if she's amenable to it, Akai and Deacon can go together.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we split the party, all going off in different directions. Take that, Ryan.
What could go wrong?
And when we reach the nexus points around this town, then we split again, and we want backstories.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I've got this right. Ulnan and Old Knell are going together with the cart. Akai and Deacon, Tia and Tempest, Nibbs and Maliki. Who are the goblins going with?
Oh, they'll stick in the wagon.
All right. Then we will start with Ulnan and Old Knell. What would you guys like to do?
Ulnan, do you have any goals of your own that you're wanting to pursue?
Not really. This trip, it has occurred to me that, what is the name we're using for her? That Mr. T is starting to get rather seriously outclassed. Has her own weapon, has a pet. We need to find something of his.
Yeah, I'm rather hoping that we can find a wizard or an artificer or something. And while we're going out, we can also ask after the thieves. Try and find his saddle.
I will follow you. You're driving the cart.
Okay, so with those two things in mind, we're asking if there is like a local wizard or artificer in town, and if anybody has seen like one of the people that we describe, a blue dragonborn, very handsome human. The 2 other party members, I think, are an elf and a human lady.
Okay. There aren't wizards in this town. It's a fairly simple town. They do have a temple to Shiro in the middle of town, but no wizards. You have heard of some strangers coming to town recently, and they were staying at the inn just north of the road, north of where you came into town.
Well, I think upon hearing that, we'll deviate towards the inn and expect the others to finish their own investigations and get there quickly, seeing as it's so very easy for us to find. What does the next party do?
Okay, Akai, you're with Deacon, who's not here, so you get to make the decisions of what you would like to do.
Okay. I think we would probably try and head towards the market or wherever the shops would be. Just to kind of check out what people are selling, if anybody's selling things that are strange. If there's any kind of like people who have just set up shop haphazardly, like because they want to pawn off something quick, that kind of thing.
Okay. The market is straightforward to find. It's in the middle of town, as one might expect. There's a bit of a grove before you get there, but you pass around that and get to the market. No problem. Give me an investigation roll. With advantage, Deacon will help you. All right. You poke around the market, looking for anything that doesn't look like it would fit. Anybody that seems to be in a rush to sell anything off. You don't see anything like that. The market appears to be mostly local goods. Nothing that you would call remarkable quality or anything like that. It's standard fare from the equipment guide in the player's handbook. And reasonably limited. Like, you're not going to be able to find some of the more expensive goods here. Can you give me a perception check, please?
Not great, but
not bad. As you're making your way through the market looking for things, you do hear the strong voice of a man speaking to a crowd of people kind of in the middle of the market. He appears to be an older man with his eyes missing, as well as his left hand. And he is speaking to a crowd that is fairly riled up. And he's speaking of justice being done. And you hear this chant from the crowd of justice, and you're not 100% sure what's happened. It's clear that you've come fairly late in the process, but upon closer inspection, you do see that there is a man kneeling before the figure with his hands tied behind his back.
can we just kind of slip into the crowd and then kind of like casually ask like somebody random, just like what's going on? What's happening?
Yes, they will tell you that Tyr and his people found somebody trying to steal from the community, and everyone wants justice, and the guilty thief beheaded.
And they're gonna follow through with that? Is there nobody that's the law in this town?
They point to a local sheriff and a couple of deputies that are kind of standing back and watching the crowd. You can give me an insight check. Yeah, they appear fairly disinterested in what's going on. They're not going to step up and stop this from happening. You kind of get the sense that this is just the way justice is carried out in the far north, where if someone is found guilty of a crime, it's not uncommon for the people to form a mob and deal with it.
Okay, yikes. Well, I don't think they want to stick around to see that guy get killed, but I guess they'd probably just make their way to the inn, because that's where everybody's supposed to be ending up, right?
Yep. All right. So we will continue on with Tia and Tempest. Tia, where would you like to investigate in town?
Well, she's gonna, first start asking the same. Has anybody seen anybody new? And then she'd like to know go to where the horses are for it. She's finding that saddle.
Okay. Yeah, there have been a few people in town, kind of stragglers coming in before the snows get too heavy on the roads. Merchants who are planning on wintering in Redton.
Any that sound like our group?
Yes, it sounds like they were seen going to the inn right at the outskirts of town.
Okay, I'll head for the stables of that inn.
Okay, you go to the stables and you find a stable boy there, cleaning out some stalls and taking care of horses.
I'll cast Detect Magic and wander around.
Okay. You wander around, but you don't detect anything magical in here.
I'll head towards the inn.
Okay. You head towards the inn.
And for as long as it lasts, I will use Detect Magic. If not, I will talk to the innkeeper, but potentially needing to see rooms. And then ask for them to give me a moment while I cast Detect Magic again, while roaming the halls of everybody's rooms.
Okay. We will come back to that. In the meantime, Nibbs and Maliki, what are you thinking you're going to want to go check out?
Well, after they all have left, I'll turn to Serafina, and I'll say, well, I don't know about you, but if I was new in town, I'd probably go to the tavern. So let's just go to the tavern.
Okay. You find out that there are a few taverns through town. The inn has a tavern in it, but there's also a few taverns around the marketplace where a lot of people...
sorry. And by tavern, I guess I should have said like an inn and tavern sort of thing. Do they have that?
Yep. There are a couple of those in town. There's one close by that you see Old Knell and Ulnan go to.
No, then we'll go to the other one.
Okay. There's one kind of just at the marketplace. I'll move you over there. And you can give me an insight check. While you're walking through town, you note that Maliki is looking a lot at the grove just before the marketplace there. Kind of wistfully, she appears uncomfortable in town.
I'll kind of like eye her up and say, I don't like it here either. I mean, it's kind of interesting to look at because I haven't seen it a lot, but I don't belong here any more than you do.
She offers you a tight-lipped smile, and just confirms that she's uncomfortable and sends Frostpaw to go hang out in the trees away from everybody else. As you approach the inn, can you give me a perception check, please?
No.
All right. You don't notice anything going on, and head into the inn. It is quiet at this hour. Normally, you might expect there to be some people here for lunch, but it's emptied right out. Nobody's here.
I'll look at Maliki and I walk up to the innkeeper, tavern keeper, whatever.
There is no innkeeper.
Oh, hello? Hello?
There's no response.
I go to the kitchen and kind of yell into the back of the kitchen, hello?
No response.
I look at Maliki and go, this seems strange.
Yes, you would have thought they would have at least locked the door if nobody was going to be here.
Well, maybe we should close the door and lock it for them.
How would we lock it without the key?
Oh, good point. Do you know how to pick a lock?
No.
Oh, yeah, neither do I. Well, we could just close the door. Do you have any paper? We could write a sign and say, keep out?
No, I don't have any paper. Do you?
No. What are these? He pulls out a set of thieves' tools. He does not have thieves' tools, but for some reason it says I do. I guess we'll just have to close the door and hope nobody comes in.
Okay. So as you leave, you can get one more perception check.
19?
Okay. So you leave the inn and you hear a commotion getting louder and louder from the west. You see a large group of people standing around, raising their fists in the air and chanting for justice.
I look at Maliki and say, we should probably check that out.
That's quite the large crowd, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt as long as we're quiet about it.
Yeah, let's see if we can sneak up the alleys or something and get a peek.
Okay, give me a stealth check.
Can I help her and her help me?
No, you can each make your own checks.
Right, yeah. 12.
Okay, that's good enough because it's really loud and people are not really paying attention to what's behind. All eyes are focused on a figure that you see standing in front of a statue. There's a kneeling figure in front of them, and Maliki draws in a sharp breath as she sees the figure, and she whispers to you very quietly, "That's Tyr.
Oh no, who's that?
He's a god of justice."
Good god or bad god?
Depends. As they say, justice is blind. It's a saying related to the fact that he has no eyes. His justice can be swift and harsh if he finds it necessary. You certainly don't want to get on his bad side by doing anything wrong. He's not someone that I would particularly want to be with. He's far too rigid.
I see. Well, he looks like he's really stirring up this crowd.
Yes, he would do that. He's not so much interested in law as he is in righting perceived wrongs. He's difficult to work with. Can you give me a perception check?
God, no.
No, you can't. I'll see if she notices. She points to the breastplate that Tyr is wearing and says, "That breastplate, it looks of rather good quality, don't you think?"
I will look at it closer. Perception?
No, once she points it out, you can take a look at it, and you do note that it doesn't look like any other breastplate you've seen before. The workings on it are quite intricate, and it has symbols of death etched and engraved into the metal. But as you look at him, you note that there are 3 people standing close to him, and taking a closer look at them, you note that they also appear to have some items of interest.
Another team. And the person that can I see the person that they have, like the captive?
Yeah, it appears to be kind of a scruffy-looking rogue type.
Does he match any of the description that we had?
No.
Oh.
Maliki says, "I don't think that breastplate is his. He may not be strong. He may not have found one of his own artifacts." And then she looks down at the hammer that she has on her person and says, "As a matter of fact, I would bet he doesn't. This is probably the artifact that landed closest to him, and we have it."
Okay. Well, we saw old Knell and Ulnan back at that other tavern. Let's head there and see if we can glean any better information.
I could take him out right now.
Yes. Is that the wisest choice of actions, though?
He's not a god I want to work with. He is probably not that strong at this point.
But if you don't take him out, we have to face his companions without our team.
If he falls dead in the middle of the square, the confusion may be so much that we can escape before anyone notices.
Yeah, but I fear your arrow will point right at us.
Give me a persuasion check.
Oh, no.
1 second. She appears unconvinced by that. She says, I could get up on one of the rooftops, get a good angle, and after firing, could just duck behind. They might know the general direction, but they might not see me.
But what if they do? And then they kill you? And then it's game over, man.
Well, my longbow has quite good range. I could try it from a distant roof. Give myself a head start if they do see. Oh, you know what would be perfect? And she points at the temple just west of the market and says, if I fired from the bell tower of the Temple of Charot, that would have justice written all over it.
And they would think the Temple of Charot did it.
Exactly.
All right, let's go.
All right. So you guys make your way over to the temple with the crowds cheering, and you manage to scale the building and get up to the tower. And as Tyr brings down his sword on the neck of the criminal, she fires at him. Unless you have any last words to try to dissuade her. But it sounded like you're okay with this.
I don't know. Let me think about this for a second. You know what? You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Let's see what happens. Ultimately, I feel like that she's right. This is not a god that will work with us.
The criminal falls dead, and an arrow flies unerringly and hits Tyr just above his breastplate in his in the area between his shoulder and neck. And he gasps out as he falls back against the statue. And the people in the market area are all screaming already with frenzy at the death of the criminal. But they're immediately silenced as they see Tyr fall back, bleeding from his wound, and the other three come to stand around him protectively, and they're all looking around in all directions for where the attack came from. Miliki drops from the bell tower around back of the temple and pulls you with her, and she curses under her breath.
How far does this noise carry?
Pretty far, yeah. 1 second here. What's that number say? 250 feet? Yeah, you guys would hear it from the inn.
Am I in the inn since there was nobody in the inn?
No, the inn that Nibbs and Miliki went into was a different inn from the one that you guys are at.
Oh, thank goodness. I was really worried that I disappeared into some vortex into time and space.
No. But you guys have gathered at the other inn. But you do hear quite the commotion coming from the center of town.
Does everyone rush out of the inn to go see what it was?
Yeah. People are definitely curious about what's going on.
Cool. I go check out all the rooms with Detect Magic on, see if that saddle's there somewhere.
Okay. While you have Detect Magic up, you see a group of people traveling together out of the inn, who all show signs of subtle magic on them, and one of them is carrying a saddle on their person.
I grab Tempest and we follow.
Okay.
Because carrying a saddle when you're walking out of an inn and not going to your horse, that's weird.
Yep. As they exit the inn, you see... One second here. You see an armored woman who is carrying the saddle, kind of put it on the ground, and she speaks a word, and a spiritual horse lifts up the saddle and appears beneath it.
That sucks.
Who's weird now?
What's Tempest do when he sees that?
He has pulled out his weapon and is looking like he's ready to attack.
How many of them are there?
6.
Tempest, we can't take that many. We need to track them.
I need a persuasion check.
I knew this was going to be the time that didn't go so well.
He says, well, how many of you are there? He says, I think we're an even match for them. I think we can take them.
There's only one of me.
He points to old Knell and Ulnan.
Oh, have they gotten here yet? Good. Never mind.
Yeah.
I thought it was just me and Tempest, and I was very worried.
No, you guys are there. And you can see almost at the inn, heading towards the inn, Akai and Deacon as well.
Oh, good. Well, if he's charging into
As
battle,
we're
I'll have his back.
Are you keying us into the fact that it's an emergency?
Yep, I sure am. I'm like, that's it. And he's not waiting.
All right, Ryan, if you're so clever, let's see how you manage an initiative engagement halfway across the town.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, also at this point, Deacon, Akai, you would note that Deacon has spotted his quarry as Shades is in the group of people in front of you and between you and your allies.
Okay, not to be that guy, but this is a bit of a important character beat for Deacon. Do we want to call it here before we start a giant team deathmatch?
I would be totally fine with that. I really shouldn't have the game going on super late tonight anyway, because it's a work night, and this has the hallmarks of being a lengthy battle.
What do the rest of the players feel like? Like, are you guys okay with that? This is your game night too.
I feel like Deacon is invested in that.
Yeah, I think he's got to be here for this.
Alrighty.
I just have to remember to pick a fight with Nibbs next game once they tell the story of what happened on their end.
Who says we're going to tell the story?
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for the game tonight. That was a lot of fun.
Oh man,
everybody.
Thank you everybody. I would have loved to get into this giant fight across an entire giant map of a town. Like, it would have been awesome.
So we've got something to look forward to next time.